The dog is in the corner of the room. I don't know why, but that's where he is. The dog is being weird. Come on, up on the bed. Come on. Up. Up. Up, up, up. Okay, fine. I don't know. He might get on the bed. He might not. We'll see what happens. He might walk out of the room. So, this is going to be my One Piece Pokemon video. So this is about a bunch of the different Pokemon that I have that are based on One Piece, or at least all the ones that I have at the moment. After everything, and the dog laid down. Dog. Dog. The dog's being weird. I don't think he likes the thunderstorm outside. Whatever. I don't blame him. I'm not the biggest fan of thunderstorms either, but for now we're fine. So this is my list of Pokemon that are based off of One Piece, either characters or things. Well, there's a sword in here based off of a sword. Or named after a sword. I may end up doing another video later on about like about One Piece based Pokemon, like, you know, part 2 or Wano edition or something like that. Once Wano's finished, I might see, you know, it's like, oh, well, I'm going to breed a Gyarados and definitely name it Kaido, or I'm going to breed a Rampardos and definitely name it Ulti. I have not made that decision yet. It depends on like where things end up at the end of that arc. I'm not opposed to naming, you know, Pokemon after villains, depending on how much, you know, how cool or whatever the villain is. And Kaido is a horrible, horrible villain in One Piece. Well, he's a very good villain to have in One Piece, but he's a horrible person. So, first up is actually named after not an item, not a yeah, not an item, not a character, but named after a species, or technically a kingdom in One Piece. So the first up is a Fearow that I have that is named Torino, which is named after the giant birds that are in the kingdom where Chopper ended up when all the Straw Hats were separated. Is named Torino, is a Fearow, is male, has keen eye, is gentle, and is somewhat vain. I like when they did like all the characters ending up in the different places for the. I don't like that the Straw Hats got separated, but I like when we get them like separated up, and then we get like the extra episodes that kind of expand on a few things. We see Chopper help the chick and become friends with the natives and with the birds, and then help them communicate better and everything. The birds are kind of cool looking, and I like Fearow, but I kept trying to figure out something that I could name after Fearow, and I eventually went with the Torino birds work. So we have the Torino birds. I like them in the story. The island is quite interesting looking as well, and of course the birds are kind of Chopper's friends at this point in time. Next up, yeah, not much to say about Torino. Next up is the newest member of the Straw Hat crew at the moment, unless Carrot joins. We have Jinbe, who is represented over here by a whale shark. Whale shark. Do, do, do. Whale shark. Stand back up, Banette. Banette's drunk. One moment. So we have Jimbei, who is actually a Snorlax. Snorlax male has immunity, has a hardy nature, and is capable of taking hits. I like Snorlaxes, and I wanted to name something after or Snorlax after something, and I kind of went with Jinbe because they're both kind of big and blue, and I just went with Snorlax. Also, like, I debated like a Wailord, but I'm like, no, not really, not after Jinbe. I have something else named, a Wailord named after something else. I love Jinbe throughout the course of the manga. I love him in the anime. I'm gonna be, you know, so happy when he actually gets to travel with the crew. That's gonna be interesting to find out like how he goes with the crew, with having everyone everyone getting to know him and getting to be a little more familiar with him and everything. Him and Frankie. Because we had the funny moment or the great moment when because Jinbe acted as kind of the helmsman when they were in Totland, helping steer the Thousand Sunny in and out of what was going on with the different with dealing with the Big Mom pirates and everything, and Jinbe was helping them navigate through that and everything. And then of course when Jimbei arrived in Wano and everything, he of course had that great entrance that I just thought was so funny. It was like, I am here, Jimbei, first, Knight of the Sea, helmsman of the Straw Hats and everything. He just had that fun entrance there. And we'll see, but we had the moment where he like hops on the Thousand Sunny and he like, gets on the helm from Frankie. And I just picture this image in my head of like, Frankie going like, okay, well, let's see how you drive this thing. And like Jinbe just like just like steers and sails the Thousand Sunny so smoothly and everything that Jinbe is just like, or Frankie's just like, you can sail my ship anytime. Because mostly it was up until this point, it was mostly Frankie that was steering, or sometimes whoever else was steering, depending on the circumstances. Mostly Frankie, but Usopp did it at times, Nami did it at times. I think we've seen Luffy do it a little bit, like on their way to Totland. But now I think it's mostly going to be like Jinbe and Frankie maybe trading off between who's steering and everything like that, depending on who's on duty at that point in time. Jinbe is well, at the moment that I'm recording this, he's currently still fighting who's who. My dad and I like Abbott and Costello, and we have done a who's on first for our church talent show and for other things. And I filmed it, and I may end up putting it on the channel at some point. I wouldn't mind coming up with like a One Piece version of who's on first. We'll see what happens with that at some point. Next up is technically one of the antagonists of the series, is Kaku. Is a Girafarig that I have that is male, has inner focus, has a modest nature, and is capable of taking hits. I do, out of all the CP9 members that were introduced in, Water 7, Water 7 Enies Lobby arc, I would say that the four that we interact with on Water 7, Lucci, Kaku, Khalifa, and Blue Note, those ones are definitely my four favorite out of all of the CP9 members, because Spondum's a jerk, Jabra's a jerk, Kumadori is just extremely weird, Fukuro needs to be thrown off of a cliff, Funkfreed's okay, but Funkfreed's an elephant, sword elephant thing, and then, there was the Nero, the Weasel of the Sea or whatever, that, again, should have just gotten pushed off the train and left to his own devices. That would have been fine in my opinion. But we have Kaku, who is, of course, he has the ox fruit model giraffe that allows him to turn into a giraffe, which he gets when they get back to Enies Lobby after they capture Robin and Frankie. Kaku is, of course, first introduced as a shipwright for the Galley Law Company. And, he's got the long nose like Usopp, so they make that joke. I do like Kaku as the shipwright. I like how he does, like, the old man talk sometimes, which is just kind of funny. I liked Kaku. Out of all of the CP9 members, I would say that if there was any of them that would have gone, like, an about face and, like help the Straw Hats or something like that, like abandoned CP9 or something like that, I would have put that as Kaku or Khalifa, and I'd put a little more money on Kaku in that case. Of course, currently in the actual story, Kaku is part of CPI Just Zero, along with Rob Lucci, of course. I don't have any Pokemon named after Rob Lucci because there's no, like, jaguar leopard type Pokemon. That's not Leopard, and I'm sorry, I don't think Rob Lucci would particularly like having a leopard named after him. I like Rob Lucci. I'm going to be very interested to see what happens later on if the Straw Hats have to deal with CPI Just Zero again, beyond just like the little bit that they showed up in Film Gold and Stampede. We'll see what else happens with them down the line. We saw Vivi and Rebecca and Shirahoshi kind of have to deal with them at Reverie, but we'll see what else happens with that. So yeah, I like Kaku. The Girafarig kind of got bred on accident because I was trying to breed a female one to name after someone else. And then I ended up with a male one that had really, really, really good stats. And I'm like, okay, I'm keeping that, and I'm going to name it Kaku. Next up is why there is a Teddy Ursa sitting over here. Is one of the One Piece parents. Is Bell-mère, who is an Ursaring. Female, obviously, has guts, has a brave nature, and is capable of taking hits. That last one is slightly ironic. I love Bell-mère throughout the course of Nami's flashback that we get with her. Any of the additional flashbacks that we tend to get with like Nami and Bell-mère and Nojiko, I love those. I look at Bell-mère and I'm like, Ursaring, giant protective mother bear that will kill you if you hurt her children. Yeah, and of course Bell-mère, one of the things she does is just one of the obviously makes her an awesome character in One Piece is she, the Arlong's crew shows up and they start, getting people to give them their money and everything, and they show up at her house, and like her reaction is jump out of the house, have shotgun pointed down Arlong's muzzle, and I'm like, yes. I know in the 4Kids dub it's a shovel, but still, it's okay. She had guts to do that at least. They didn't messes with her level of awesomeness a little bit, but it's still there. Bell-mère, of course, is Nami and Nojiko's mother. I talked about her quite a bit in the Mother's Day video that I did a while ago for One Piece Mothers. She is, of course, no longer with us. She was, killed in Nami's flashback and everything by Arlong. And Nami, of course, has her tattoo that is, the tangerine with the pinwheel coming off of it, representing her mother, Bell-mère, and her father, Genzo. And, throughout the course of the series, Nami has demonstrated a few things that still indicate how much Bell-mère had affected her. With the children that they introduced that are dealt with at Punk Hazard, we of course have Nami and Usopp. They both refuse to leave when children are asking for help. They refuse to abandon the children, and of course they do that. And then of course Nami is perfectly fine with leaving the children with Tashigi when Tashigi asks to be able to take the children, to take them to Vegapunk and be able to have them, get Vegapunk to try to, get rid of the gigantification that's going on inside of them. And, Nami admits that she has a weakness for military, for Marine women because of that. I don't think that necessarily means that Nami wouldn't fight Tashigi if she had to, or that Nami wouldn't fight like Hina if she had to, or had to fight Suru if she had to. It's not like Sanji's level of like, oh no, I can't hurt a woman. It's Nami is ones that have like this, she has like this slight, I wouldn't call it a weak, well, I guess she does kind of admit that it's a weakness, but it's also, she admits that she has it, but I don't think that that would stop her from attacking Tashigi if she had to, or attacking like Hina or one of the other female Marines that they've had to deal with in the past or may have to deal with in the future. We'll see what happens with that. Bell-mère's, legacy kind of still plays on with Nami and Nojiko. Next up, we have another mother that is kind of the opposite of that spectrum, and why the Larvitar is sitting over here. We have my Tyranitar, whose name is Linlin, who is female and has Sandstream and is brave and is somewhat stubborn and is the one that I Mega Evolve. Linlin, yeah. Big Linlin, Charlotte Linlin, Big Mom. What can you say? A lot. I went with Sandstream for the ability as opposed to, I don't remember if it has Intimidate or whatever the other ability was, but I went with Sandstream because, that makes the Sandstorm appear in it, unless you have, unless your opponent or you have, item or something, it will make, both the opponent and the ally, lose HP because of the Sandstream, unless it's, a certain type of, has a certain ability or is a ground type or whatever, it won't get affected by it. And of course, Linlin is, of course, the captain of the Big Mom Pirates. We saw some flashbacks of her with rocks and everything in some of the more recent stuff in the anime and such, with like some of the flashback with the Odin flashback and even information from Sengoku that he gave, and we saw her having a much more fit form. And of course, we've seen her throughout the course of the Totland series with how not good of a mother she is, which again, I went over in the Mother's Day one with her, so I don't have to go into too much depth. We'll see what else happens in regards to the way that she's going to interact with the Straw Hats and Wano. She's not going to be an ally, we know this, but she at least was protective of Tama, which is at least something. But we'll see what happens if the rest of her children show up. I don't know if I say I want Linlin to die or not. I like her as a Yonko. I like that, you know, I think we need a little bit more female representation in some of the other, we have Bonnie in the Worst Generation. We have, we have Linlin here. We have, Ed Hancock in the Warlords. We have Suru with the Marines. But, it's like we need a little more female representation in here. But, Linlin is not weak by any means. She's still extremely powerful, but yeah. Next up is another pink-haired girl that is royalty. Linlin is a queen. This one is a princess. This is actually from the Dressrosa arc. It is a shiny Linoone that I have that is named Rebecca. Has Hasty, has Pickup, is somewhat vain, and is shiny. I love Rebecca through the course of Dressrosa. Currently, I'm watching through the Dressrosa arc in English. And, I was very familiar with Rebecca anyway, because I loved that arc in the manga with dealing with Rebecca and everything. And I love the story that they did with her and her father, Kuros. And, I love the Steadfast Tin Soldier story anyway. But we have Rebecca. She's my shiny Linoone. I caught the Linoone in Omega Ruby via, radar chaining, and I caught it as a Zagoon, and I was very happy. I think I just named it Rebecca right off the bat anyway, and eventually just like, because I think I was reading through the Dressrosa arc at the time, and I'm just like, I'm gonna name it Rebecca, so we'll go with that. I love Rebecca throughout the course of the art. She's an amazing gladiator, of course, and now she gets to have a little more fun. She gets to have, be a little more relaxed and everything with her. She has her father back. She has her aunt. She has her grandfather. She has the Tontara as her friends. So we'll see what else happens there. Next up, we have, there's a Banette sitting over here. Unfortunately, it's not a shiny Banette, but it is a Banette. Is named Roger. Roger, as in, Goldie Roger. Is a Banette, is male, has insomnia, is somewhat vain, is shiny, and mega evolved. Again, I got this via radar chaining in Omega Ruby, and I caught it, and I kept trying to figure out what to name it, and I'm like, well, it's smiling, and it's a ghost, and it, kind of shiny, so it stands out. I'm going to go with Roger, as in Goldie Roger. So I like, we get a lot of Roger's, we got some of Roger's, a little more of Roger's backstory, a little more of a Roger's past in the Odin flashbacks, which was nice. We, of course, know he's Ace's father, and there's all of that issue that goes on there. He was the king of the pirates and everything. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll get like a section of the manga that is just like, this is just going to be a giant Goldie Roger flashback where we get a little bit more of a, this is when he did start, him finding Rayleigh, them going off, building up more of the crew, finding the One Piece and everything. We saw some snips of that with the Odin flashback, but we'll see what else happens. We'll see what else we learn about Roger. Next up is actually a shiny that I was not trying to get at all. Out of all of, it's one of Linlin's children. It's one of Big Mom's children, and it's actually one of my least favorite children that she has. It's like, I love Katakuri, I love a fair amount of the daughters. I do not really care for this character that much. It is a shiny Lickilicky named Perospero. Is male, oblivious, has a calm nature, is proud of its power, and is shiny. And I got it via just running into it in Sword and Shield. I just encountered it from trying to, get XP, and it was a shiny one, and I'm just like, well, I'll catch it, and I can do something else with it later. Caught it, eventually just nicknamed it Perospero, and just went with that. It's not one, I just still have it. I don't intend to keep it. the entire time, but for now I have it. It's yellow and it has a giant long tongue, and Perospero has the yellow trench coat most of the time and has a giant long tongue because of his candy powers. I like the powers. His wardrobe's not bad. It's Willy Wonka-esque, of course. The tongue is what disturbs me the most. Yeah. He's extremely sadistic at times. I don't really care that much for Perospero, so we'll move on. The next up is actually Chopper. I caught him. He's fine. Is Chopper. Chopper over here. Here, Jinbe, hold on the Chopper for me. Chopper is actually a winter Sawsbuck that I have. Is male, has chlorophyll, is gentle, and takes plenty of siestas. Is what I have for Chopper. I love Chopper throughout the course of the series. He was adorable back on Drum Island when they first met him. He's still adorable now. He's awesome with his, monster points and everything. We got some more information on that recently. I just love Chopper throughout the entire story. I love him as a doctor. I love the fact that he made candy that, tastes like cotton candy that allows him to get bigger, change his shape and everything, and that he's gotten even stronger over the course of the series, as have all of the Straw Hats. Animal check-in. The dog is still here. The dog is still here. So we have Chopper and everything. Next up is one of the Pokemon that is actually named after an item in the series. It is actually a shiny Aegislash that I have that is named Shusui. Of course, after the sword that Zoro had for so long after Thriller Bark, is a shiny one, has dance change, is hasty, is alert to sounds, and is shiny. I got this one via trading, and I don't remember if I got it as a Honedge and then leveled it all the way up myself, or if I got it as Doublade or whatever, but I got a hold of it. I like Shusui throughout the course of the series and the anime and in the manga. It was, of course, originally wielded by, Ryuma, Shimasuki, or Shimasuki Ryuma, depending on which way you want to put that. 400 years ago, he, killed the dragon with it. And then, of course, he's one of the great heroes of Wano, and then Moria stole his corpse and the sword, and then made the zombie, and then, of course, Zoro fought said zombie and got Shusui as his prize, and now he, has, and then, of course, it got taken by the Onimaru, by the fox guy, by the little fox, and then Zoro, decided to leave it at, Ryuma's grave, of course, in, was it Udon? I don't remember, in the, whatever region that was, where the Hakumai region, I don't remember, the icy region in Wano, left it at the graveyard there. And now he has Enma, of course, which, of course, he used very well against Kaido. And we'll see what else happens with that. I'm pretty sure he's not going to get Shusui back, but, there's the whole theory that Zoro is like a descendant of Ryuma because they look so much alike. If he is, he is. If he's not, oh well. Next up is technically named after a Straw Hat, but is more named after like one of their aliases. So this is a Oricorio that I have. That is the Sensu form. That's the kind of the geisha-esque fan dancing type form. It is named Orabi after Robin's, Wano alias, Orabi there. Is female, has dancer, is docile, and is capable of taking hits. We see Robin, of course, in her Orabi persona when we're first, brought back into, when we're first brought into Wano and everything. We see her there. She's undercover as a geisha. Has been practicing for quite a while to get to the skill level, to get into some of the more requested parties and stuff like that and everything. She uses that to, sneak in and get information about, Orochi's schedule and everything. We see her there. She's no longer, using that persona, but I just was like, I liked it, and I was like, I'm going to name it Orabi. What else do I have? Next up is kind of an ally. of the Straw Hats, well, she is an ally of the Straw Hats, is a shiny Ribombee that I have that is female and has shield dust and is naughty and is mischievous and is shiny and is nicknamed Bine after the pink hornet zone user from the Tontatas. That help, of course, with taking down the Don Quixote family and everything. I loved shiny Ribombee. I got it via trading. I did try to catch one myself, but I just got it via trading instead, and have that now. I love Vine and the story. She's got attitude and she's so funny, and she can turn into a hornet. She is the insect model hornet. I like her. I don't usually like bees, but I like bait. It's like, I don't like spiders, but I like all the spider Pokemon. I don't like bees, but I like the bee Pokemon. I'm just like, ugh. In real life, I'd probably run screaming anytime I saw an Ariados. I am kind of like Misty in that way, but I would be like, I'm fine with Ledian. I'm fine with some of the other bug Pokemon. I'm just going to run screaming anytime I see something that's like giant and can eat me, but that would apply to a lot of other Pokemon. I like Vine. She's fun. The next one is not a shiny, but the character is still kind of pinkish. Is a Mimikyu that I have that is named Perona. Is female, has disguise, is adamant, and likes to thrash about. Perona is, of course, introduced on Thriller Bark with the rest of Moria's crew. She's kind of the one member out of the crew that I actually kind of like. I like her Horo Horo powers. Horo Horo powers that she has. The dog did not react to that noise. With her hollows and everything. She is she was staying with Mihawk for about 2 years. I like Perona and Mihawk together. I would be perfectly fine if Oda made them an actual couple. I like their interactions with each other. They're so funny. She's like, you don't even care about me. I'm leaving. Leaves. Don't forget to take a jacket. Mihawk sitting there reading the paper. Don't forget to take a jacket with you. Fine. Leaves. We'll see if she shows back up again. She might be an ally of the Straw Hats. I kind of hope she doesn't get captured by Blackbeard. I don't want that to happen. I like Perona enough. I don't want that to happen. I'm kind of okay that Absalon died. I just don't like that, the bad guys have his fruit now. Next up is, again, not based off of a character or place. It's based off of an item, just like Shusui was. Kind of an item. It's based off of a ship. No, it's not based after the Sunny or the Mary. It is a Delamize that I have that is named Noah, as in named after the ship Noah that's currently in Fishman Island. It has, of course, Steelworker, is quirky, and is somewhat vain. I kind of qualify Noah a little bit as a ghost ship. It's been there since the Void Century, supposedly built by Joy Boy to help, ferry the fishmen people up from Fishman Island, the merfolk and the fishmen up from Fishman Island to the surface so they can live on the surface with everyone else. And of course, Vanderdecken and Horty tried to throw the ship at, Fishman Island to try to kill Shirahoshi and everyone else. And Shirahoshi was very brave and stood up to the ship. And then, of course, the Sea King showed up and took care of it. After, Luffy and the others defeated Decken and Horty. Not exactly extremely big threats, but, giant flying ship coming right at your island. That's not a good thing. I think I got 2 more. Yeah, I got 2 more, and they're both ones that I Gigantamax. So the first one is actually a Corviknight that I have that is called Karasu. Is male, has mirror armor, is brave, is somewhat vain, and is one of the ones that I Gigantamax. Karasu is, of course, named after the Revolutionary Army leader, one of the generals in the Revolutionary Army, or whatever you want to refer to them as. I don't remember which blue he was from. I want to say he was from the North Blue, I think. I don't remember. But he's there. He's the one that has the weird devil fruit that we think that kind of looks like it allows him to turn into like a flock of like crows or ravens or something. So we'll see what ends up being explained as to what his devil fruit is. He might be a Logia that can change into something, and then he can make all these different shapes, and he just chooses to make them look like birds. Or, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe like a feather Logia might be able to exist given the fact that you know, feathers are a thing that are you know, they're in nature, they're a natural thing. I mean, like, you know, they come from birds and everything, but they're kind of a natural thing. So it might be that he just, you know, turns himself into a huge amount of feathers and then he forms them into, you know, the bird shapes. And then they can still fly. And, you know, we see Sabo ride on one of them and everything, and he can use them to attack people, but we'll see what else happens with Carus. Don't know that much about him. And the next one is a giant elephant. It's not Funkfried. It's not Jack. It's Zunisha, or the island of Zo. Zunisha on the back. You know, Zunisha is the giant elephant thing that I cannot remember how the frick you pronounce its species name. I'm sorry. Is a Kapajaw that I have. It's female, has sheer force, is quirky, likes to thrash about, and is one of the ones that I Gigantamax for that. Since I built Sword and Shield, I have like 2 sets of these and I have like a set in all the Gigantamax one in one game and all the Gigantamax ones in the other game, except Garbodor because Garbodor is disgusting. But we have Zunisha, who is, of course, this giant 1,000-year-old elephant that has been wandering around since possibly the Void Century. Only seems to be able to take orders from the Kazuki clan because it obeyed Momo. Is the home island of the minks that live on its back in Zo and the Mokomo Dukedom and everything. It's this extremely tall elephant that, you know, when Jack showed up again to attack it, it whacked Jack's ship, which I loved. I'm like, whack. Yes, do that again. Do that again and then stomp into the ocean. And you may kill Jack and then we can save some time on having to deal with him later. That would be fine. But we'll see what else happens. We might get a little bit more of like the Zunisha's explanation at some point as to, oh, Zunisha, like we might get like why it was forced to roam after it broke that promise and everything at some point. Like, oh no, it has to roam and then, you know, until this happens and then it can, you know, come and be back here. Maybe it'll come, like, maybe it'll make its way back to Wano or something. I don't know. You know, since it's connected to the, you know, to the Kazuki clan, maybe it'll find its way back to Wano at some point, and maybe it's supposed to keep an eye on Wano or something. I don't know exactly what'll happen. That might be a new theory I just made up. I doubt that. Probably not. The dog is still not impressed with anything I'm saying. Not that I'm surprised. So that's what we have there. That's all the One Piece Pokemon that I have at the moment. I might do like another video later on about like, this is kind of like the Wano edition of like, you know, like Kaido or Ulti, or like I might breed something, like I might breed a Galvantula and name it Black Maria. I haven't made that decision yet. It depends on, you know, how the story finishes up. I wouldn't mind having a Pokemon named after Yamato, but until we kind of figure out a little bit more of like, I mean, like, by the time I'm recording this, we do not know whether or not what Yamato's Devil Fruit power is, if Yamato even has a Devil Fruit power. We assume Yamato does have a Devil Fruit power because we see their teeth elongate at one point, but we don't know. There's the, oh, Yamato's going to turn into a dragon also, or Yamato's going to turn into a tiger, or Yamato's going to turn into this or that, or this or that. We'll see what happens with that. If Yamato does turn into a tiger, I might choose to get a really good Raikou and name it Yamato. I don't know yet, but I'll just wait and see after that. I kind of like to get a little bit more of like, we've learned all we're going to learn about this character for the time being, so we'll do this. I'll breed these. We'll see what else happens with that. So that's what I got for this video. I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye! Inherited will, the destiny of ages, the dreams of its people. As long as people continue to pursue the meaning of freedom, these things will never cease.